You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And welcome. This is Mike Lodge. I'm glad you're here with me this morning. So far, I've been working on so many different things. Early this morning, I started working because I have to respond to my clients also. So I had to get up and do a lot of writing, a lot of research, and lots of different things. And I enjoy my early mornings because there's no phone calls. There's no one coming and tapping me on the shoulder and wanting to know some information from me. Early morning time for me is the best time, and I really do enjoy that part of my day. So I was thinking about Joe Biden again, because remember what the president does affects small business. Now, I'm going to preface my remarks today and say small businesses, restaurants, pizza places, shoe shining places, whatever kind of business that a small business is affected by the minimum wage. And Joe Biden's asking for a $15 minimum wage in the United States, federal ruling. Now, small businesses have a very thin, razor thin profit margin. And sometimes they're not even making a profit because things happen. COVID came along. They've lost pretty much all of their businesses at the moment. Adding a $15 minimum wage attack on small businesses when they're just trying to survive. Listen, this stimulus stuff and this $2,000 thing and this PPP, it's not doing the job that it needs to do. What has to happen is that businesses need to get back into business. They need to open their doors. They need to be able to have the customers that they used to have. So the PPP doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. All it does is pay for salaries while people are out of business. And then pretty soon that runs out, and then you're right back into the same situation unless we open up businesses. So let's talk about the $15 minimum wage. What does that do? Well, it raises costs. So that razor thin margin is now probably gone. You think that, and most Americans think, well, it's $15 an hour. Here's the problem. That $15 an hour comes with a whole bunch of other costs. What goes up when the minimum wage goes up? Payroll taxes go up to both federal and state. Workers' compensation insurance goes up because workers' compensation is based upon the amount of dollars that was spent on payroll. So, as an example, if you are, and I'm speaking to one profession at the moment because I know it better than anything. When you're talking about a nurse, let's say, sometimes they get charged $8 for every $100 that they earn. Well, the same thing applies to all the other professions too. It's a certain amount based upon a certain amount. So when those certain amounts go up, that cost goes up also. So workers' compensation cost to the employer will go up. So that $15 now becomes about $18 an hour, okay? Because there are all these other costs associated with that $15. Small businesses cannot afford to raise employee costs. The biggest expense in every single business is employment are the employee salaries and wages. That is the most expensive part of any business. So I know it sounds like it's a good idea. Let's raise everybody up because people need to be making more money. But remember, those jobs in restaurants and everything were only supposed to be part-time jobs. They were not supposed to be full-time jobs all the time. Minimum wage was designed for the part-time worker, for the individual who was just working in and out of places. It wasn't meant to be the full-time wage for a full-time job all the time. When you raise employment costs, on a small business, that razor thin margin that they may have is gone. So now we've been attacked by COVID, and now the president-elect wants to raise employment costs or operating costs on a small business. Now, let me tell you what happens in Europe. I was in Denmark and Sweden a few years back. They have a very high. I think their minimum wage is like $18 an hour. However, those people working those minimum wage jobs are not working full hours because the minimum wage is so expensive. They've gone to automated machines now where you go up, you punch in your hamburger and out, then you get a number and you go and stand there and it comes out to you. There's no one there taking orders in a good portion of the workers. Also, workers are only brought in during heavy parts of the day. So, those people that used to work a full 8-hour shift or 6-hour shift are now cut down to 3 because they're covering lunch hour and dinner hours. Everything else, they have minimal amount of employees, 1 or 2 just to do the cooking. So hours will get cut by employers here in the United States also, or they will look for automation. And I know here in Florida, a lot of the McDonald's, if you go up the coastline highway, if you stop at the McDonald's, there's a machine there that you make your choices on and enter in your debit card. So automation is going to be a big part of minimizing the cost of minimum wage because small businesses, they just can't afford it. So they're going to try and reduce the amount of hours that these employees are working, only bring them in during hours where it's heavy duty time where they need people. All the rest of the hours will not be covered by a huge staff anymore. So now you've reduced hours to employees. So if you look at it, they're back to the same wage or minimum wage that they used to have because they don't have the same amount of hours. The problem with thinking about a national minimum wage is that some states, some communities just cannot afford that high $15 an hour minimum wage. Not everybody is California, not everyone is New York, but you've got all these other rural communities out there who everything is low cost. And once you start raising the cost of operations, you raise the cost of the product that you're selling, and people say, well, I can no longer afford that higher cost. Because I'm telling you, people do not think that the $15 minimum wage, they think that's it. That's all the cost there. That's just $15. It's not going to cost business anything more. It does. Because the payroll taxes go up, the workers' comp insurance goes up. Everything goes up. Even when those burger patties are brought in from the freezer, the company that it came from, those costs went up because of minimum wage. So just don't think that a $15 minimum wage is all that great, because I tell you, it raises costs to you as a consumer and to the business themselves. So those straws that they're putting in front of you went up in cost because the people that's making those straws, their wages went up, their workers' comp insurance went up, their taxes went up, and so that cost was passed along to the restaurant. And that restaurant then passed that cost and their costs onto you. Everything goes up. So that $5 hamburger now becomes $8. as an example. As you can tell, I'm using hamburgers because I love hamburgers. I don't get them very often, but I still love them. And to think that my cost of that hamburger is going to go up. Just think what Warren Buffett's going to do. He goes to McDonald's every single day. His costs are going up. Now, he can afford it. You and I, we can't afford that cost increase. So when you're looking at the $15 minimum wage, you have to look at the entire picture. Because that $15 then becomes $18 with all of the costs incurred on it. And that cost gets passed on to you, the consumer. So everything on your side goes up by $3. I know, it's a good idea. Everybody wants to make more money. But minimum wage is not the way to be making money. I'm sorry. If you want to make money, you go out there and you get that education or that experience and you become something better than a minimum wage employee. Now, I love minimum wage people, but you have to realize $15 is not just $15. Because there's a whole bunch of costs that get associated with that $15. And those costs and those higher costs get passed on to the consumer. Now, the problem that we have here at the moment is that we've had COVID that has literally knocked out businesses. Some businesses are just barely trying to meet the payment so they can keep their rents open, their doors open. The problem with PPP and all this stimulus stuff, it's not working. It's a Band-Aid. It's just a little itty-bitty Band-Aid for a month or two. And that's it. This COVID thing is a long-term thing because there are certain states and communities who have extended these lockdowns and are creating greater damage than ever before. So coming up with a $15 minimum wage at the moment is not the right time. Just is not the right time. Listen, I love small businesses because I deal with small businesses every single day. But we can't knock them down again. Government has knocked them down with COVID. Now they're going to knock them down with higher expenses. Maybe we can talk about it when the economy's back up and booming again. But that's going to be a while. Because we have a whole bunch of economic circumstances that is taking place right now that's going to affect everybody. Not just the minimum wage individual. It's going to affect everybody. We have no idea at the moment what the economic plan is from, and I've said this before, so you're probably getting tired of it, but we have no idea what the economic plan is from Joe Biden. We know that he wants to raise taxes. We know he wants to raise the minimum wage. He wants to do a $1 trillion stimulus package, which is absolutely just a Band-Aid on a big problem. The PPP is not it. Let companies and businesses go back to work and do their job. The president should be encouraging all of these states, hey, we have got to get these people back to work. We've got to get these businesses back up and running. You have to realize that businesses are the heart of America. Small businesses are the heart of America. They're the ones that employ the part-time worker or the mom that needs to have a little bit extra bucks. These are the people who stimulate the community, who participate in the Little League baseball games with their name on the back of the shirts. These are the kinds of individuals that keep this country together. In November of 2020, the small businesses did a survey, and it was shown that small businesses did not have a very good feeling of what was going to happen. They had no confidence. So we, at the moment, cannot be attacking small business. Listen, Joe Biden has never run a business in his life. Kamala Harris has never run anything in her life. They do not understand how to make a product or to make a service. They don't understand all the steps that it takes to control all of the costs within a business. They don't understand that because they have been politicians all their life. So they don't understand the needs of small business. They don't. Donald Trump did because he ran a business, so he knew what was entailed in keeping a business afloat every single day. Sometimes he had successes, sometimes he didn't. Just as us in small business, sometimes we have successes and sometimes we don't. And then sometimes we have a stupid virus that comes along and shuts us down and destroys our business. And I'm sorry, I breathed in wrong. And then we have a government who wants to increase our business costs, but they don't understand all of the added costs onto that. Everybody thinks that they have this bright idea, but then they don't look at the entire picture, the whole picture. Most of the people that have surrounded Biden on economics really have no idea what it takes to run a business. They don't. So we have politicians trying to make decisions for small business, and they have no one there to advise them. So, listen, we small businesses, we got to stick together. We've got to keep our minds open, our ears open, and we've got to operate very conservatively on how we do our business, because we have no idea what's going to attack us next. We had the same situation under the Obama administration. I've told you this story before. I served on, I was a member of Orlando Chamber of Commerce in Florida, and also the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. When Obama was in office, the common thread of conversation was businesses are on hold. And the reason why is because we didn't know what Obama was going to do. We had these healthcare mandates coming out, and then we didn't have healthcare mandates. Then it was a tax, and then it wasn't a tax. And then we didn't know what to do. So what did we do? We paused. All businesses just paused because we didn't know what was going to hit us next. So we decided, okay, we will maintain our businesses at the level that they are at now. We're not going to increase it. We're not going to add any more costs. We're not going to hire any more additional people. We are going to keep it on pause at where we're at now. And this is what's going to happen under the Biden administration, because he's brought in all of the same people that Obama had. So we're in that same situation at the moment where we don't know what's going to hit us next as small business. So you and I, we're going to have to act conservatively. And that means that we are going to have to be looking at our cash and putting reserves away because we don't know what's going to hit us next. We certainly cannot allow any more lockdowns, because that just is a disaster for small business and for big business too. So I think I've said enough on the $15 minimum wage. That's how I look at it. That's how I feel about it. Right now is not the right time to be doing it. We have to get through this COVID thing. We have to let businesses survive. We have to let businesses be able to grow again and open up their doors. But to act on a $15 minimum wage at the moment is wrong, because businesses just can't afford it at the moment. They can't hardly even afford to keep the lights on or to keep the people employed there. If you don't have business coming in, then you have no revenue. You have no business. So when states and local communities keep their businesses on lockdown, you are literally stopping all business and all business transactions, all banking, everything else. People are hurting. No PPP, no government handout is going to help these small businesses as much as it would be to just let the businesses open up their doors and get going. So that's my conversation today. If you want to send me any comments or questions, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, 818-252-5682. Or send me an email at info at lodge-co.com. If you would like to support me, please do. You can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Support me. $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. It's fine with me. Listen, I really love you guys. I'll talk with you again. And let's get back into business, right? No more of this stupid politics, because politicians don't get us anywhere. But you and I, we can go a long way together. This is Mike Lodge. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on business.